Good morning, students. Good morning to all. Yesterday, we have studied something about the facts and the theories of economics and the nature of economic laws and some of the subdivisions of economics, the consumption, production, distributions, and exchange. Have you remember anything? Okay. Now we will study something about yesterday what we have studied. Okay, so yesterday we have studied some of the economic facts and the theories and the features and the facts and theories. Normally using the different methods, the economists observe facts such as change in the supply price of a commodity, and similarly the quantity demanded of that commodity also varies. Okay, so whenever we want to go to study, some of the facts also will be there. On the basis of facts only we can make as a theories or a laws. Okay, for example, if you want to make a law of demand, so we have to analyze many facts related to the law. Okay, for example, the change in the prices of a commodity, the quantity demanded of that commodities will be varied. Okay, so the price of the commodities, whenever the price of the commodity is increasing, so the quantity demanded will be increase or decrease. Okay, but it will be varies. Okay, in which basis it will be varies? Some of the fact have to be collect. Okay, so on the basis of human behavior, as the rational consumers, on the basis of the activity of rational consumers only we can collect it or we can consider. Okay, so normally the price of that commodity is increased, what will happen? So normal people will not get some of the satisfaction. Okay, normally if we want to consuming any of the commodities, we will be ready to spend some amount of the money. Okay, so on this, by spending some amount of the money, we must get some amount of the or equal amount of the satisfaction on that commodities. Okay, suppose if you are not getting the reasonable satisfaction, we won't ready to spend more money. Okay, then some of the reason, one of the reason is the people will not get the satisfaction to increasing the price of commodities and when they consuming that commodities. Okay, so only the price of that commodities will be increased. Sorry, the price of the demand of the commodity will be decreased. Quantity demanded of the commodities will be decreased, because when they are spending some amount of the money, they won't get is the equal or the reasonable satisfactions. Okay, this is the fact. Okay, so on the basis of the fact only, so the economist will be creating the laws, different type of the laws. Okay, so whenever they want to make or create one of the laws must be have some of the facts and truth. So not only that, so the economist tests his theory by collecting further facts, and when his theory stands the test of time and obtains universal acceptance. Okay, so what are the facts, collected facts are put into the analysis, and the results of analysis is acceptable by the universally, so the facts or these collecting data will become as a law of universe. Okay, so the facts, so on the basis of some of the facts, if some of the truth is acceptable by the throughout the world, so that fact may become as a law. Okay, so different type of the facts and the theories also existing to analyze. Next, the nature of economic laws. So a law expresses a causal relationship between two or more than two phenomena. Okay, already we have studied, more phenomenon means, so the two on the basis of law demand. Suppose if you are taking the law of demand, the two phenomenon will be happen. What phenomenon? So the price of that commodity is increasing. That is the one phenomenon. So next, so the quantity demanded is decreasing. This is also one of the phenomenon. Okay, some of the other reason is also there. So we can consider some of the reason is as a phenomenon. Okay, so all the phenomenon will be have some of the differentiations between two reasons, two causes, or the two phenomena. Okay, so the law only express the causal relationship between the two or more phenomena. Okay, why the two phenomena will be occurs on which basis? Okay, this expressed by the law. So not only that, Marshall also states the economics laws are statements of tendency. Statements of tendencies mean, okay, so many of the economists will express their results of analysis. Okay, some of the economists will consider the economics as a science, and some of the economists will consider the economics as a arts. Like that, different type of the economists will express their or expose their attitude or their ideas. Okay, so we cannot accept the laws of economics as a accurately. Okay, so we can consider the laws of economics as a approximately, but we can't accept it as a accurate one. And not only that, we have studied in natural sciences, a definite result is expected to follow from a particular cause. Okay, some these other sciences we can expect or we can expect some of the approximate result or accurate result. Okay, for example, if in this Newton law of Newton there is no change. Okay, but in the law of demand some of the exceptions are there. Okay, so with these exceptions only the law of demand will be accepted. The law of demand, what is the exceptions of law of demand mean? Other things being equal. Okay, so the taste of preference and the consumer price of commodities, income of the consumers will be changed, and other things being equal only the law of demand will be acceptable, otherwise it is not acceptable. Okay, but in this nature of science, so the law of Newton, it's not like that. Suppose if you are thrown up any of the stone to the sky, it will come back to the earth as definitely. Okay, so without any struggle, this is not approximate, it is a accurate one. And not only that, some of the facts will be controlled on the experiment in his laboratory. Okay, so we can easily test the data collected in this science. Okay, by using this data, by using the some of the experiments, we can bringing out some of the definite results. Okay, but in economics not like that. We cannot test any of the experiment and we can't observe it, so we cannot expect some of the accurate result. And next we have studied the economics, its subdivisions. Okay, so without the subdivisions the economics will not get fulfilled. Okay, so one of the subdivisions of economics is consumption. Already we have studied the human wants coming under the consumption, and the human wants is the starting point of economic activity. So if there is no human wants, there is no need to producing any commodities. Okay, so why the producers want to producing commodities? He has taking effort to satisfying the human wants. Okay, but he will earning some amount of the money as a profit. But even though the consumption only is the starting point. Okay, if there is no consumption, there is no need to producing commodities and the commercial activities also. The exchange of goods and services only for the purpose of satisfying the human wants. Okay, so if there is no human wants, the consumption, the human wants mean the consumption. Okay, so the want to consuming any of the commodity is called as a consumption. Okay, but if there is no consumption, there is no need to producing or production of commodities, and there is no exchange of goods and services from one place to another place. Okay, so we can consider the consumption or the human wants only is the starting point of all the economic activity and the commercial activity also. Okay, So many of the goods and services are moving from one place of the producer to place of the consumers. Why? So the consumption, so the producers and the channel of distributors also have to taking they will ready to taking some of the effort to satisfying the consumer wants. Okay, next, production. So production is the process of transformation of inputs into output. Okay, so the process of transformation of inputs into output. So the producers only will be taking some of the process of transformations of inputs to output. He will be arranging some of the inputs as a raw materials to finishing product as a output. Okay, so who is taking the effort, who is taking the process of transformation of inputs into the output is called production. The producers only will have the effort and chance and possibility to producing the commodities by using the raw materials what he has into the output what the consumers wants. And not only that, so this division covers the characteristics and role of the factor of productions. Okay, for the purpose of producing any of the commodity, so the producers have to arrange the factor of production as a proper way. Okay, so all the factor of production, the land, labor, capital, organizations, the all factor of production have to perform their role as very well. Okay, so for that the producers only have to arranging the factor of production. So and the factor of the role of factor of productions also will be covered in the ways of production only. Okay, next, exchange. The exchange is concerned with the price determination in different market forms. So we have studied we will study the different market forms. Okay, so the duopoly market, perfect market conditions, imperfect market conditions, like that. So the different market forms are there. Okay, but in this different market, how the goods are exchanged from one place to another place is exposed and studied by the exchange in the place of exchange. So these divisions of exchange only covers the trade and commerce. Okay, how the products are moving one places to another one of the places and what are the factors also come under the divisions of exchange. So the consumption is possible only if the produced commodity is placed into the hands of consumers. Okay, so for that the exchange is very much need. Okay, the sum of the business or the commercial activity have to undertaken by the traders and the producers. Okay, so how the produce is moving from one place to another place is expressed or explained by the divisions of exchange. Next, distribution. So the production is the result of the coordination of factor of productions. Okay, so the coordination of factor of productions means, so when the producers arrange the factor of production to producing of the commodities, he has to arrange as the equal ratio or the reasonable ratio. Okay, sometimes, so for example, the two factor of production, if you are taking the two factor of production, the land, the capital or the labor. So capital mean we can consider the machineries. Okay, for the purpose of producing any of the commodities, so one producers can arrange 2 unit of machineries and the 2 unit of labor. Otherwise 1 unit of machinery and 3 units of labor. Otherwise 3 units of machineries and 1 unit of labor. Okay, so by using the factor of production, so the producer will be bringing out the productions. Okay, so we can consider the coordination of the factor of production only is called as a product. Okay, next, distribution studies about the pricing of factor of productions. Okay, so we are producing any of the commodities by using the factor of productions. Okay, so that the factor of productions also have to get the reasonable remunerations in the form of their wage, rent and profit and interest. Okay, so how the factor of productions are going to get the remunerations will be studied by the divisions of distributions, right? And now yesterday also we have studied some of the economics and their types of economics, and yesterday we have studied the micro and macroeconomics only, right? So microeconomics mean what? So it is the study of economic actions of individual units. Individual units means the household and firms and industries. Okay, so we will study about the individual units, how the economic actions of individual units, the household and firms and industries. And it studies how business firm operates under different market conditions. Okay, so different type of the business firms are there. Then it studies how business firms operate under different market conditions. Already we studied, So the monopoly market, duopoly market, oligopoly market, perfect competitions market. Okay, this different type of the market. How the business operations, how business firms will be operate is studied by the microeconomics. Okay, and next the how the market condition, how the market, how the combined actions of buyer and seller determine the prices. Okay, normally the prices will be determined by the demand and supply. Demand and supply means to the buyer and seller. The buyer and seller only will be determined the price. Okay, so the pricing determination is explained in the microeconomics only. Next, macroeconomics. So macroeconomics is the upsource of microeconomics. So micro means the small and macro means large. Okay, when we are studying the individual unit, so we can consider it is the microeconomics. Okay, so when we are going to study the whole economy, so we can consider that is the macroeconomics. So in this macroeconomy, so we will study about the aggregate demand and national income, output and employment opportunity and the unemployment problem and the monetary policies, fiscal policies, tax policies, everything will be explained by the macroeconomics only. Another one of the economics is there, international economics. So in the modern world, no country can grow in isolation. Okay, so now in this modern world, if you are taking any of the nations, so it will never will growing without depending on other nations. Okay, so all the nations have to depending on other nations or another nations for their domestic need. Okay, because all the nations will have different type of the natural resources. By using these natural resources, only one nations will be have more productivity to producing any of the particular line. Okay, another nations also will have more productivity power to producing. Okay, so and some of the nations will have never possibility to producing some type of commodities. Okay, in that time, so that nations must be depending upon the another nations. Okay, and not only that, every nations will be in the need of having the foreign exchange. Okay, so how can we get the foreign exchange mean? So by involving the international trade only, we will get the foreign exchange, right? So the international economics always explain how one nations are depending on other nations, or what is the relationship between among the nations. It is exposed by the international economics. So in this international economics, we will study about the internal and the external affairs and the foreign direct investment, how the foreign direct investment will be moving from one country to another of the nations, and what are the international monetary associations are there, and what are the auxiliaries of international economics are there. Everything will be studied in these divisions only. Next, public economics. So public finance is concerned with the income or revenue, pricing and expenditure incurring activities of the public authorities. Okay, so public economics means so the government how to earning money and in which form, so the government have to provide the welfare activity to the public. Okay, so public economics always deals with how the governments are providing the public welfare to the public and how can be earning more money or earning profit from the infrastructure facilities, and what are the policies are there to increasing the economic development whenever they can able to make the proper monetary or fiscal policies. Everything will be under the divisions of public economics. Next, development economics. So in this economics always explained the countries have been classification of the countries. Okay, the countries always classified on the basis of their national income or the GDP. Okay, so we can classify the nations and their development as development economy, developed nations, or underdeveloped nations, or developing nations. Okay, so these classifications always will be classified by their national income and their GDP rate. Not only that, some of the growth of developments are there. Okay, suppose if any of the nations are growing only in their national income, it is called as a growth. Okay, but if you want to say one of the nations are developed means, so the nation must be have some of the increased GDP and the high national income along with the human welfare, that is the higher income of people, the purchasing power of the people, and the high standard of living of the peoples, and some of the index, so the happiness index and some of the income development index, everything have to be increased and have to be as a higher growth. Then only we can consider the nation is as a development nations. Okay, so the developmental economics explained developmental economics deals with the category of the nations. Next, health economics. So health economics is an area of applied economics. Applied economics means it covers health indicators, preventive and curative measures, and medical research and education, rural health mission, drug and the price controls. Okay, so how one health facilities will be improved and what are the ways are there to increasing the health and hygienic of the peoples in our nations is exposed by the health economics. Okay, and not only that, they have to making their differentiation between the rural and urban areas. Okay, so what are the possibilities are there to arranging the high health for their public in this rural area and the vice versa. Next, environmental economics. So the depletion of natural resources, stock and pollution result from rapid economic development. Okay, so whenever the economics is growing and the developing, so in the same time our environment also will be affected by many hazards. Okay, so we must, or the society or the nations only have to take some of the reasonable effect to recovering the environment or the polluting environment. Okay, so the environmental studies about how to recovering the hazards of environment, or how to protect the environment, or how to stop the hazards of the environment. So the environmental economics studied about the relationship between the environment and the development of economics. Okay, so the environmental economics is a study of interdisciplinary tools for the problems of ecology, economy and environment. So whenever the economy is developing, that time so the ecology will be affected and the environment also will be affected. Okay, so whenever the economy is growing, growing continuously or the steady, so the nation must be taking care of the environment and the ecology also. Okay, so we have studied the different types of economics: microeconomics, macroeconomics, international economics, public economics, developmental economics, health economics and environmental economics, and some more types of economics also will be there in our subject, but now it is no need, we will study later. Okay, but we have to know some extra things between the microeconomics and macroeconomics, because so in this lesson we will study more about the micro and macro only. Okay, so we must know about the distinction or the difference between microeconomics and the macroeconomics only. So we will study about the difference of micro and macroeconomics. First, we will study the meaning of microeconomics. So microeconomics is the branch of economics which deals with the economic decision making of individual economic agents such as the producer and the consumer, etc. The producer and the consumers mean, so we have studied how the price is determined on the different type of the market only by the producer and the consumer, or the demand and supply only. Okay, but in macroeconomics, it is the branch of economic which deals with aggregate and average of entire economy. Entire economy means how entire economy is growing that every years. Okay, so the aggregate output, national income, aggregate savings and investment. Okay, so by having the aggregate savings and investment only, so we can bringing out the more output and we can increasing the national income. So next, so the microeconomics takes into account of small components of the whole economy. Small components of mean, so we have studied, so the single, the individual unit, such as a household, farms, or the small industry. Okay, but the microeconomics takes into the consideration on the economy of a country as a whole. Okay, so what are the factors? What are the units are there in our whole economy? Everything will be studied under the macroeconomics. So we will study the unemployment problem, poverty situations, national income, monetary policy, fiscal policy, tax policies, everything will be studied under the part of macroeconomics. Next, the microeconomics deals with the process of price determinations in case of individual product and factor of productions. Okay, so how we can producing the commodities by using the factor of production and price determinations. Okay, so how the price will be determined on the basis of demand and supply only. Okay, so the microeconomics always deals with the process of price determinations and the individual products and factor of production. But the macroeconomics deals with general price level in any economy. General price level means, so throughout the economy, how the price level is going to maintain on the basis of employment problem, on the basis of tax policy, on the basis of monetary policies, on the basis of money supply. Okay, so on the basis of which factor we can maintaining the price level is deal with macroeconomic. Next, so it is known as price theory. Okay, so microeconomics is also known as price theory. Price theory means, so on the basis of price of that single commodity only we can understand the production or the factor of production. So only we will consider the microeconomics as a price theory. But macroeconomics also known as the income theory. Income theory means, so on the basis of the national income only, so we can consider the whole economy as a developed, developing, or underdeveloped, any one of the category. So next, so the microeconomics concerned with the optimization goals of individual consumers and producers. Okay, so optimization of goals mean, so the producers and the consumer must be having the satisfactions. Okay, so microeconomics concerned with the optimization of goals of individual consumers and producers. How the individual producers and consumer will having the equilibrium situation is explained by the microeconomics. Next is the macroeconomics is concerned with the optimization of the growth process of entire economy. Okay, so this is also combined with the another nations. Okay, so the macroeconomics always focus on the GDP and the populations and the macro level aspects only. So the employment opportunity, poverty, and the human development and the GDP, like that only it will be focusing. So the macroeconomics concerned with the optimization of the growth process of entire economy. Okay, students. So I think it's enough. So today your study portion is just study the types of economics. Okay, and when you have the time to study the differentiation between the micro and macro economics. Okay. Okay, students, if you have any doubt, please ask me. Thank you.